pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Chrissy?
All right, Wyatt.
Here.
Engel. Here. Reister is absent. Buns. Present. And Stabell is absent.
On the agenda, we're removing the public hearing. That was just a misprint by having it in there. We did that last meeting. So if I can have a motion to approve.
The amended agenda, so moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Consent agenda, anybody have anything they want taken out? If not, take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Mayor's comments and commendations, welcome to everybody who's in attendance. Relative to commendations, I thought Hudson Days was a success. I want to give special, from my perspective, thanks to the public works staff for their assistance with the Hudson Days. I'd like to salute the Chamber of Commerce and the Hudson Days Committee for running that. A lot of great comments about how everything was run, and especially the fireworks. Park and Rec Commission did a great job in the sand volleyball tournament. Was down there. I drove by there a couple times. Up, but there were 120 people down there.
There was a ton of people down there.
And there was a food vendor down there too. Also, a fire department for putting on the dance. Appeared to be a success. And to our police staff who kept order with a couple situations.
And the car show staff.
Anything else anybody want to talk
And the
about?
car show committee.
Car show committee, absolutely. What, 74 cars?
Oh, we had more than that, we had 122.
Oh, there was a ton.
Holy.
Wow.
Because
122.
you ended up with more blocks of cars than you had
We were the
expected,
same
right?
blocks, as last year. We were actually down a couple of cars, but we had a lot of different cars come in this time, so,
Yeah, that was super.
yeah, it was 122.
And then State Farm sponsored that?
There's about 6 sponsors. The
Okay.
shop, Bill Caldwell Ford, Peterson Hardware Plumbing and Heating, Coffin Auto Restoration, somebody else I forgot, Twisted Creations, Stoners.
Super. Any other comments on it?
I'll second what you said. Yep.
Great weekend for everyone. Great weather. Can we
Oh
have
yeah,
that
Mother
every year?
Nature, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mother Nature.
As far as other things going on, just for updates, 310 Washington, remember the nuisance abatement demand we sent out some time ago? That property continues to make some progress. I've been continuing to move out the deadlines on that one. I got some very good comments passed on as far as how the porch looked on 310 Washington during Hudson Days. A little bit of thanks to, we offered up to Mr. Wumpkus to assist him, so myself and Danny and Steven and Jake spent about an hour and a half up there helping clean stuff up, mowing, weed whacking, a few other things. And offered up to him again, giving him dumpsters and assisting with that. He has not taken up on that. They are talking about potentially downsizing and moving, so it may resolve. So.
Thank you to all of you guys for your help with that, because we always like to help out our neighbors in need in this town.
Yeah.
Small town, it shows.
And speaking of that, on the same topic, we had visited with some neighbors of 509 Eldora Road last week, a week and a half ago, behind where DeWitts live and Olvins live.
Yes.
It's kind of hidden back in there. Took pictures. We filed a nuisance abatement on the owner, Ray Grimm, as well as to the estate of Lynell Campbell. We'll see where that goes, trying to make some contacts with there. And the same offer, we put a deadline of, what was it, Chrissy?
August 13th.
August 13th on that one to have it resolved. And again, if we can make contact and get some activity on it and some progress, we'll see how that date moves. But otherwise, we're going to push that one hard, because that's same scenario. It's just kind of hidden and out of sight and out of mind. We did get a written petition requesting that we pursue it, and definitely concur with it from the pictures I've taken of that space. So we'll keep you up to date on that one. Anything you want to add? Okay.
I don't think so.
You're welcome to. If you've got comments, now's the time for all of us to hear them.
So we'll keep rolling that one, keep you up to date.
August 13th, is that time for him to respond? Or if he doesn't respond by the 13th, then what happens?
He has 7 days to request a hearing, which basically is he would come before city council and say, I just want more clarification. But the August 13th deadline is when he has to have it cleaned up, or we would go
Oh.
in and clean it up for him.
I see, so that is the deadline.
Yeah,
as
that's
far
the
as him.
deadline.
Yeah.
Now, what we've done on 310 Washington is the homeowner there came in and visited with us. I said, as long as you keep making progress on it,
I see.
then I will, from week to week, move that deadline out. So I would anticipate the same here on this property. What we put in the nuisance consists of inoperable lawn and garden equipment, inoperable vehicles, deteriorating building materials, and weeds and grass exceeding the 8-inch allowable limit. In addition, the property must be repaired, especially the missing window, in order to not allow animals to reside within. So that's what they have been notified with, and that's what we'll start working towards. So,
Thank you.
and you can stay the rest of the meeting or roll on. The
What do you
ETA
wanna
is
do?
about 30 minutes.
Go on.
Yeah. Do you want to stay?
Okay, no, I have.
We're good.
You're welcome to go. Thanks.
You're,
Thank you
you're
for your-
interesting, but, thank you.
Thank you for your comments about it, so we
Yes.
know what to take care of.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we
you guys
appreciate
for the
that.
action.
You betcha.
Thank you guys.
Yep, have a good night.
Yep, you too, thank you.
The one other item related, in Stan Mosier's property where there has been dumping of dirt under an allowable scenario, had been having clean fill dirt. What we became aware of last week is that the dirt that's now going over the north end is encroaching into the floodway. It had been simply floodplain, now it's floodway, absolutely not allowed. Chrissy's had discussions with the DNR, so have I. They're reviewing the case. I met with Tim Mosier on it, and after some lengthy discussion, he understood the impact. Had the assistance of Tom Peterson in helping relay, because Tom has used that in the past. So he is on notice that can no longer have any dumping in there. We changed the sign to simply say no dumping. Tim wanted to know what to do if somebody goes in there, because he's contacted everybody who used to, because he had given verbal approval, and that was fine. And he has my concurrence that if he finds a violator, to call the police, and we will get that stopped. So I have not seen any tracks going into there since we put the sign back up, and Dan put the little bit more bolting to hold to it. I used duct tape, but that was the start of it. So, any questions on any of that? Last thing I've got, Water and Wastewater Workers Week, August 19th to 25th. Just for your awareness, Governor of Iowa proclaimed that week as being Water and Wastewater Workers Week, predominantly because of the water and wastewater workforce of Iowa dedicated itself to improve the environmental science and enhance the drinking and recreational waters of Rick. So we've got a great crew with Rick and with the boys that are learning that same treatment stuff, so we will honor that. Committee reports and recommendations. Public Works Committee meeting July 11th, 2018. Both Scott and Matt are not here, so Chrissy, have you got any comments on that one?
Sure, I can kind of give you an
Highlights.
overview, yeah. The bike trail bridge was discussed, it's the bridge that is in the kind of the wooded area. The engineer's estimate for repair is $169,000. The Public Works Department is going to be looking at ways to reinforce the structure to kind of until we can figure out what we're gonna do. It had also been talked about reinforcing the fence, because I think part of the fence is starting to fall down, so they're gonna look at reinforcing the fence. And just kind of do a little more research and kind of get back to the committee and try to figure out what we're going to do.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't know the answer, but were we approached by somebody about that bridge? Like, what triggered this bridge conversation in the very first?
It was Danny. What Public Works does is periodically they'll actually take a truck down there in order to trim the trees back. And when they went through there, they noticed that railing is moving a little bit.
Well, the DOT was also there dredging out the creek and pulling all
Opened it
that.
up.
They opened up all the trees and stuff that were overgrown underneath, and that's what's showing the bridge wear underneath.
Okay, I was just
Yep.
curious. how
This is the one on
triggered the-
63,
yeah.
correct?
Yep, right across from,
That is now in plain view from
Yes.
Yeah.
63, where when the weeds were all there, you couldn't see it, but it was fine.
So they had even talked about putting a culvert underneath the bridge to kind of help with the flow a little bit. There was concrete work that was talked about, in front of the old D&W building, that has since been fixed, there was some deterioration of the concrete. There's also a section at 128 Main that's going to be repaired at the same time, as well as curb and gutter, in the area of 111 Fifth Street, so they're all gonna try to do those two repairs at the same time. I don't think they've been done yet, but I know that Dane's been working on it. The other thing that was discussed was the sampler at the sewer plant. Rick has gotten a new discharge permit for the sewer plant, but the DNR would like him to test a little differently. And with the sampler being 30 years old, the committee approved purchasing the sampler, and then it'll just come from, that expense will come from the,
Sewer fund.
some of the sewer, yeah. And then we had three sewer adjustments and, a water and sewer adjustment that are on the agenda as well. So,
Which actually got approved in the consent agenda.
yes.
Thank you.
Any questions of Chrissy? Thanks, Chrissy.
Yep.
We do have ordinances, don't we?
Just one.
General government, Hudson City Council maintains the right to waive the first and second readings of the ordinances presented and may pass the third and final reading of the same ordinance within the same council meeting. Item A, discussion and action to approve the second reading of ordinance 803 and ordinance to amend the Hudson City Code 2017, chapter 106, collection of solid waste, amending the following language: collection fees. Before I ask for a motion to approve, I did send out the two questions that were asked about as far as the rates. I think the historical rates, that was the primary one. And I did send out a spreadsheet to everybody on that. It is an increase in spread compared to last year, but we had dropped last year to where it was basically, except with the fact that except for getting the grant, which we have no idea whether it's coming each year. It's just kind of a protectionism in there. So is there a motion to approve the second reading?
So moved.
Second?
Further discussion? Roll call.
Alright, just a second. Alright, Engel,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Approved 3-0. Item B, motion to take off the table the Laserfish annual agreement for software maintenance, item from July 9th meeting.
So moved. To bring it back for consideration?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. We have it off the table. Item C, discussion action to approve resolution 2407, a resolution to purchase Laserfish software for the city of Hudson, and the annual agreement for software maintenance for backup system, which links the current software for the city of Hudson, Iowa. And again, on this one, it was tabled with some additional questions. I've got answers or information out to each of you. So I'm requesting a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Did you hear back from either one of the guys? Did they have any additional questions?
No.
These
Oh,
guys?
No.
that aren't here?
Got her, Matt.
I got one question from Matt.
Okay.
And his question was whether I anticipated those prices to continue to go up like my schedule was. I says, yeah. And that was simply it. No other specific individual questions.
The other question we did ask last time was, is there a way we can lock in for so many years after that? Was that ever brought back or answered?
I did not send that question out. I forgot that one. So the question that was posed last week by the council was whether there's any ability under the contract to lock in the pricing even further than 5 years.
So like if our increase is 1.5% every year, we can keep it at 1.5 for 10 years, or, I'm totally making up numbers, but that's the gist of it.
So right now, our purchase price, and again, my recommendation is to go with the purchase price because of the lease difference.
So,
That locks in the equipment, then it's the $38.90 per year for the software maintenance.
right, it's 328 or, yeah,
Yeah.
3890 is the total.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can tell you in the last 7 years, that's never increased ever. And I do not believe it will. I would be willing to say we'll lock it for the 5 years, because that's what we've based all on that. But really, that's a pass through the Laserfish, so I have no real control over that. But, I mean, if that's a deal killer, we can lock that for 5 years, till the end of it.
The good thing is, you know, relative to that, in the past, our $653 a month was basically
Sure.
taking purchase and the software maintenance. So essentially, we'll be doing that with a little bit less money by purchasing up front. But after that point in time, instead of having about $653 a month, we'll be staying at the $325. So after 5 years, our cost drops,
Well,
other than
potentially.
potentially having to replace
I was
a
gonna say this-
server or something
Well,
else.
this is a 5-year thing though, and I walk out of Best Buy with a computer and it's obsolete, so in 5 years, we're not saying that there couldn't be another complete, you know, anything additional on there. Not that there may or may
So-
not be.
But
So
at
let
that
me-
point, we have the ownership of all the images
Exactly,
on our server that we
Mhm.
could actually go to another vendor to support
If we
those
needed
images,
to.
if we needed to. So
Right.
there's your outside, which gives an
absolutely.
opportunity of market-driven pricing.
And beyond that, that 3890 allows you for all of the upgrades that
Exactly.
Laserfish has. So they come out with Windows 20,
47.
40, whatever.
Right,
They're a partner with Laserfish, so they always,
sure,
you know, and then the Office product 2016 comes out, they've already integrated with 2016.
okay.
So that's really what you're paying for phone support,
Right.
the ability to contact them, your activation keys are active. But you also get, and then you also get the additional enhancements that are created, and they're, every year they upgrade. And so we're in touch with people, you know, we started at 7.2 10 years ago, we're at 10.3, and it's a much more robust feature.
I'm all for the
system.
product, absolutely. My only comment is, I don't wanna say that in 5 years, we're only gonna go down to this, because that's not, in my mind, that's not completely reasonable, because there may be something additional we have to do in 5 years, nobody knows what the computers are gonna do in 5 years. But I agree, and I think it's a great product versus what we're doing now and continuously increasing and
Right,
everything
right.
like that.
I
So
will-
I'm not against the product
Gotcha.
in any way, I just don't like that saying of, this is all we're gonna have in 5 years.
I will put on the contract special comment at 3890, without any additional, you know, if you add another user, if you add another process, it's gonna go up.
Right,
But with the software that you currently are purchasing, that will be the price for 5 years.
perfect. Thank you for that.
Did I get a motion yet?
Yeah,
Yes.
we've done that, we're
Any
in
further-
that
any-
combo,
any
We're
further-
discussing, remember?
we're in the combo
No,
part.
I'm getting old, my memory is very
We
short
know.
nowadays. Roll call.
Engel,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Thank you, 3-0. You're in,
Awesome, thank you.
and Chrissy will coordinate with you.
Yep, we'll get this thing up and running quickly.
Okay, super,
I'm super excited to have you guys on board, that's great.
thanks.
Cool, that means when I'm teaching tomorrow, I can say, oh, we're switching.
Yeah, thanks, and you're welcome to leave too, you don't have to stay around for the rest of it.
Well, you
Thank
can
so much.
stay.
You guys appreciate letting us come back.
You betcha,
Thank you so
thanks.
much.
Thanks for all the information and the emails back and forth.
You bet, you bet, thank you.
Hey,
D.
got away with no extra comments out of the peanut gallery.
That's right.
Councilman not here.
Thanks for on to.
Item E.
Aren't we on?
D.
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 Oh, yeah, I already flipped my page, sorry. Item D, discussion action to approve resolution 2408, a resolution approving the transfer of funds for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. And a lot of this is to stay up to date on a monthly basis with what the auditors are requesting that we do as opposed to
So moved.
Second.
discussion. Roll call,
Wyatt,
Aye.
Engel,
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
3-0. Item E, discussion action to approve resolution 2409, a resolution accepting and approving the final plat deed of dedication and development agreement of Twin Oaks First Edition in the city of Hudson, Iowa. And this has all been reviewed by our city engineers with Chrissy and myself.
So those one questions that the engineer had on that one report have been resolved?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, and it was at planning and zoning on the 17th as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to approve?
So moved?
Second? Anybody?
You're gonna make me do it? Oh, all right, second.
Discussion?
In looking at this, so they are only final platting, not the
Right
middle
over there.
section that's gonna be
Right,
developed.
right, it would match up with that. They're doing the streets down, the long street, they are not doing that
Okay.
last one.
My concern that I do have is in the meantime, what are we doing for emergency access to get them to those houses there?
It would have to come down through the main street, or they are going to grade that street in. It will
You
not
go
be
up
hard
there and-
surface.
Will you go
Yeah.
up there and point, sorry.
If my recollection is right from discussions with.
As far as the way you're explaining it
Yeah.
is correct.
This down here, and this stub, and down through here will all be paved to final grade.
Right.
Everything is there. This will be in
Because of those.
because of the emergency.
Okay.
Well,
this-
because those lots will be developed at bottom.
Right, those lots will be developed. This here, their intent is to bring it to grade, but not to put gravel necessarily on it. They may put gravel. And I can't remember whether Corey said they were gonna put gravel on that, but they were definitely gonna bring that to grade, so where that could be another shot in. Now, the difference is, you've got X number of houses, which is about 40 houses, won't be in there. So your longest stretch is gonna be to here.
Right, but my concern is, if there's an ambulance call in any of those two neighborhoods, they have to go all the way up and around to get back down to them.
That's correct.
I don't like that, because what if it's 5 years before that next plat gets done? Can we require them, I want to require them to at least gravel that and give an emergency access to be able to get from the bottom up, because you're talking, it could be minutes that are the difference in there, and if there's a heart problem or something like that, that's a very extensive, that's a hard thing to swallow for me. And not knowing, you know, God willing, everything goes right, that next plot, that next phase will be done shortly. But we've also seen one sit here for 20 years. I don't want that to happen and that emergency never be there for them. Whether it's, I don't care if it's permanent, it can be gravel until it's done or whatever the case may be. But I don't want to approve this until that there is something there to say that that's gonna be done.
Would you be willing to approve it subject to?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm too, George, I think it's too important to, you know, especially when right now in the news, we've had issues with rural EMS services and minutes costing lives.
Yeah, we.
So
I
the
just-
fire department was okay with it?
Was the
I don't
fire
know if they
department?
focused entirely on that aspect of it.
Yeah.
That would be the question, is whether they focused entirely on that aspect.
I just,
And I would-
I think it's too important to ignore. And like I said, you know, hopefully that develops right away and it's not an issue. And I don't think it needs to be a permanent, you know, you have to pave the road before we'll approve anything. But there needs to be a temporary access there, because I don't like the fact that the fire department has to go all the way up and around when there could be just something temporary put in there for them. And otherwise, it's gonna be a muddy gravel mess out there, or a muddy mess out there without anything else.
Okay, so,
Not enough.
would it be acceptable, and I'm just theorizing here now, would it be acceptable if that emergency access, instead of being all the way here, simply cut across here and cut across that lot to get them there?
Yes.
Because that would shorten it
Oh,
up
still make it
significantly
Huge.
and
Yeah.
avoid them having to do a lot, because my concern with there,
Are they willing to give up that lot? It's gonna be-
well, it just simply delay the lot.
It would temporary.
It would temporarily delay it to where it simply
Okay, so
has
it
the
can't be
ability to
sold
get them
until-
up to there as
Okay.
quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, as long as there's a temporary way that they don't have to go all the way up and back around
Okay,
to be able to do
Yeah,
that, because I
because
just
of that
don't think
distance.
that's safe.
okay.
Well, and like you said, sometimes things are just about timing, and we have been in the spotlight over that rural EMS business, like, big and bad
Yeah,
in the
and
spotlight.
we can't gamble on the question of whether, if the call comes here and they don't have EMT, the call is gonna go on up to Sartori, and that ambulance is gonna come down that way, and the fastest way in is there. But if these guys
But
are
I'm
the
not gonna
first ones
gamble
up
on
there.
that.
Yep, yep,
I'm not willing to gamble on that.
okay.
Would you have Chad relook at that too?
I mean, I don't know if they, I assume that they want this done quickly, but I think that's a major point to me that I want answered before
Okay.
we final approve anything.
So do I have a motion to table?
I would make the motion to table.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion?
I want them to know I'm all for this project, I wanna get them going
Yeah.
as soon as we possibly can. But we brought that up in the original final plats with everything, And I wasn't thinking far enough ahead
Sure.
to know that that middle part wouldn't be done first.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, either way works for me. I want them done right away. I
So as long as there's emergency
Away.
access.
But I think,
up
I
into
mean,
there.
I think your last point is probably the most important point. This was something we brought up in the very beginning of this whole project, that was something really important to us, that we wanted that access to be quick.
Did that come up any discussion at planning and zoning as far as the delay? That's why we got 2 levels.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, hopefully within, you know, a year that next one is done too, but I'm just not willing to take that bet.
So what would be necessary? Simply a letter assuring?
I want a
that
plan
by-
showing on there where it's gonna be.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what material's gonna be.
Exactly what materials are gonna be used, how it's gonna be laid out.
Any further discussion on the motion to table?
Okay, so you want, I'm just making sure, because I'm gonna have to email them tomorrow, or tonight. So you want a specific, like a plan showing what they're doing?
Yeah, something, yeah, penciled in, you know, with their thing, you know, whatever they do.
However, they make changes to the plans.
But relative to
The rest of it I think is great.
Relative to the document, the 5-page document, would a supplemental letter with that details be okay as opposed to actually changing that? Okay,
Yeah, because we don't have to do a full engineering plat or anything that's
No,
gonna
they
cost them all that
just-
extra
yeah, they
money.
just
yeah,
need
it's mainly their
They just
assertion,
wanna,
that
like,
they will
you
do it,
wanna
and here's what it's
I
gonna look
want,
like.
yeah, I want something in writing saying that they are gonna do
Yeah.
this to make sure that it's done right.
If time becomes an issue and they're able to come up with those documents, we will circulate those. And is there a willingness to have a special meeting, because the next one is not for 3 weeks?
Are they really gonna go in 3 weeks?
Oh, I don't think so, but they're out there moving dirt, as you know.
Right, which is
Well,
what
and I don't
They
know
do
how
have 6
critical
of those
this
one
is.
lots sold that are, people are just
Yeah,
waiting, so.
yeah, and that
Right.
won't.
Yeah, but that doesn't, the
That's
people
not
on
gonna affect
Ranch
that.
Road, that shouldn't
Yeah.
affect
That isn't
anything.
affected.
No, because that's already penciled in,
I
that's
don't
already.
anticipate it, but just a heads up, as soon as we get stuff.
I would prefer
We'll
it not to be
circulate.
because I would like to be it on camera and on everything else,
Okay.
but if necessary,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and if we had a special meeting, we'd camera it anyway.
Well, yeah, we'd have to, yeah, not an email meeting, I don't want to.
Oh, no, but what we'll do is as soon as we get some documents
Yes.
to that, we'll circulate it so at least you can get individual feedback
Yeah,
back to Chrissy
Good
or
with
I
that.
as far as whether it matches your desires.
yes, thank you.
All in favor of the tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Table. Now, where am I?
F,
Thank you.
We got you.
Item F, discussion action to approve resolution 2410, a resolution to set a public hearing to approve the request of Patricia Gordon, Leigh Ann Cox, and Ronald Henry to rezone approximately 3.0 acres on Rancho Road from A1 Suburban Agricultural District to R6 Single Family District, and this is to set the public hearing for August 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Item G, discussion action to approve resolution 2411, a resolution setting public hearing to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to traffic regulations. And this, again, set the date for August 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item H, discussion action to approve resolution 2412, a resolution setting public hearing to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to alcoholic beverage control, again for August 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item I, discussion action to approve resolution 2413, a resolution setting public hearing to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hudson, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to cigarette and tobacco permits, August 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Informational items, there's about 6 of them in there. Reminder items, Public Works Committee, August 15th at 7 a.m., public safety is canceled.
Yes.
Mayor's Task Force Committee meeting, August 21st, 4:45 p.m. Personnel Admin Finance Committee meeting, August 27th at 4:45 p.m. Next council meeting is August 13th and August 27th. Have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.
Thank you.